Big Sills. Interesting as we're in the off week of the Super Bowl and a lot of news going around in the National Football League. Most notably, the job in Washington and Josh Harris's group. Ben Johnson now pulls his name out of consideration. And like I've told you guys before, a lot of this stuff comes over money. That's why Bill Belichick didn't get the job in Atlanta. Not to say that my friend Raheem Morris was not qualified to get that job, but a lot of this stuff sometimes comes down to money. People keep going like this. Remember something, Mike Vrabel's still making money with Tennessee. So whether he works or not is not important this year. You guys make it sound like, well, Belichick's not going to get a job. Well, I'm not going to put $20 million on the line because you want to pay me $9 million. I get paid more money sitting at home than going and working in Atlanta for $10 million less. Why would I do that when I got 3 years remaining on my deal? How funny is it that the media is like, Belichick may be blocked out. He's not blocked out of anything. If you've got $60 million guaranteed to you, right, guys? You got $60 million guaranteed to you. Are you going to go to work for some organization half of that money that's owed to you because you want a job in Atlanta? Or you want a job in Washington because they want to pay you less? Hey, if Ben Johnson, by the way, if Ben Johnson thinks he's worth $15 million, then Ben Johnson's value to him is $15 million. And he looks at it as the grass isn't greener on the other side because you know why? People that go to Washington go there to die as coaches. When you're in Washington, I know it's new ownership, but when you go to Washington, the chances of you turning around the Commanders, very little right now. Brand new ownership. What direction are they going to go? Hey, maybe Ben Johnson looked at the way Josh Harris runs the Sixers and said, is that the right owner for me? I don't know. Believe in the process? He's probably like, what process? I mean, you go to Washington to die. I think Belichick may land there. There was a historical significance to it because that's where Lombardi ended his career. Took a couple of years off in Green Bay, I think one. And he was given the general manager's title to run the Packers. And I think he worked for AT&T as a board of directors guy for a year. And he hated it. And Kent Cook gave him 5% of the Washington Redskins at the time. And that's how they got him to coach in his final time before he got sick and passed away. My uncle was at his bedside when he passed with his family because, of course, he was an assistant coach in New York with the Giants back in the day with Coach Landry and Howell and those guys when they were winning all those games and going all those championship games. So you go to Washington, though. I mean, he looked at himself as, hey, I'm a $15 million guy. Washington didn't see it that way. Okay, I'm going to go back to Detroit and keep my value. Look, when you're making that kind of money now as assistant coaches in the NFL at coordinators, Vic Fangio making $7-8 million. Why do I want to be a head coach when I don't have to have all the heat? Okay? See. So that's out. There's one thing with the Eagles that I'm starting to see. I'm seeing a lot of quality assistant coaches that names are coming up for position coaches on the defensive side, linebacker, D-line. You're seeing a lot of names. And again, I asked the question of yesterday. I asked this question to you. Why didn't they do this last year? Why the massive course change? You go from one extreme to the other extreme. I mean, you go from one extreme, you go like this. Well, not going to have any experience. To now, every single guy you're hiring is a former defensive coordinator, a position coach, guys with great quality names. What's the big change? What's the big change? Okay? And by the way, if what we're hearing now, Tracy Rocker, if he is fired, which most likely is, he'll become the new defensive line coach for the Houston Texans. So Tracy will be out of work a total of 1 day, just so you know. He'll be the Texans D-line coach. That's all words that are going around the league. If he is released from his contract in Philly and he's fired, he'll be the Texans defensive line coach. So there you have it. I heard Tone talking about the attendance, and 16% of the American public watch these conference title games this past weekend. I'm going to take it further. For a 6-hour block, 110 million football fans watched 2 games. Almost like 112 million people watched 2 games. There's 330 million people in America. Think about that. For 6 hours, 112 million Americans watch football. I mean, 93 of the top 100 2023 TV shows are football. If you ain't talking football, you're wasting your time. Nobody cares really about these other sports. Now, I say that because of listen, do you care more about Warriors and Lakers than you do some sort of shitty sitcom? Absolutely. 4 million people tune into that thing. Okay? I mean, for 6 hours, you had 55 million people tuning in to each game. That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Crazy stuff. All good. By the way, we're going to go knee deep and we're going to start looking at free agency and also potential prospects and what's the best avenue to rebuild your defense. You don't really need here before we get going on this too. Before we get going on this. Now I want some of you to know this. This is going to be a conversation that may be a little bit over some of your heads because most of you won't know what we're talking about because this is actually football talk. And this is going to be something that some of you will have no clue what I'm saying. If you want to stay, that's fine. If not, maybe another day for you because this is going to be more of a philosophical, intellectual conversation when it comes to rebuilding, finances, money, salary cap. And some of you won't grasp it because you can't. Okay? So this is kind of like for people who just don't sit around for 4 hours talking dumb stuff. This is more of a conversation for like an intellectual football fan. So if that's not you, you might want to come back tomorrow. Okay? You might want to come back tomorrow because some of you in here aren't quite smart enough. So we'll get to that here in a second. But I do want to ask you this before we get going as well. How many people think the Eagles have a Super Bowl window open right now? How many people think you have a Super Bowl window? Or is it closed already? I think your window's closed. So I'll tell you right out of the top. Your window's closed. You have no window. You had an opportunity. You were a one-year wonder, which you've always been. So don't act like you build successful teams. You don't. You don't have long-term success on having a Super Bowl team. That defense is the worst in the league right now. Okay? It's closed. Now, here's the good news. You really don't have to build it up to a top 10 unit because of how good of talent you have on offense. You have to really build it up to a bend but don't break defense. If I were you, I wouldn't be thinking about 65 sacks, a massive turn. I would be thinking about, let's get to respectability. Because if you get to respectability on that side of the ball, you can open that window back up again, depending on the relationship with Kellen Moore and also how the offense is going to respond to the new schematics that Kellen's going to put in there. Under center more. I wonder where the RPO is going. Things like that. So philosophically, they're changing, not really personnel on that side of the ball. On the defensive side, it's not changing scheme, but you have a ton of work to do. And you have about, what did I hear, $28 million? Hey, guys, $18 million of that money goes to your draft. $18 million goes to your draft with signing bonuses and the amount of picks that you have this year. You're going to spend roughly around $18 million on that. So you got $10 million to operate in free agency. So when you guys are sitting here going like, what do you think? Those draft choices are free? Those signing bonuses, by the way, first rounders, all the money's guaranteed, including the bonus. All those guys, that's the new collective bargaining agreement. When you sign a guy in the first round, his bonus is 100% guaranteed. Actually, the entire contract's guaranteed. Okay? I mean, you think, well, we got 28 in cap. No, you got about 12 guys you're going to draft. And you got to spend money on those guys. Well, you ain't getting no hometown discount in the draft. That's not what your Rosenhaus does. Okay? So again, I don't think you have a Super Bowl window. I think you had a Super Bowl opportunity. And you had the opportunity to keep the window open last March. Well, when you didn't retool the team, you hired all those bums as coordinators, and you got the shitty result, and you were a 1-7 football team, your door closed. Remember something, Super Bowl contenders don't have 1-7 stretch runs. Kansas City may not have played well all year during the regular season, but they didn't have 1-7 stretch runs. I mean, what Super Bowl team had a 1-7 stretch run? You. If you're a good team and a true Super Bowl contender, you don't have 3 months of that. Okay, so it's curious. Just wanted to hear what people thought when it came to, you got to build this thing back up again here. And this is going to take a lot from Howie, the assistant coaches. I wonder how much input. By the way, do you think that the front office is going to give some of these new assistant coaches input into the personnel they need at linebacker, safety, and corner? Okay? Seals, what teams have Super Bowl windows? Ravens, Niners. Ravens and Niners. I think the Bengals with a healthy Burrow. I think the Bills. I think the Lions. Yeah. Those teams are all better than you. Remember, beat the Bucs and the Giants. Kansas City. Okay, Kansas City. I think the Lions are a younger version of San Francisco. So, still, that's a great question, Malcolm. So, are we in a rebuild? You know what, Malcolm? You're always in a rebuild on defense. Really, you know what? You're not rebuilding anything on offense. You're just going to try to do it different. You have the pieces on offense. Like here, how many offenses in the National Football League are better than the Eagles' offense? Let's just stay in the NFC. Is Dallas better than you? No. San Francisco? Probably better than you because Kittle's better than Goddard. Devontae's better than Ayuk, but not by a ton. AJ's better than Debo, but Debo's different. Debo's not a traditional wideout. He's used in multiple facets. The running back is sensational. And the quarterback is efficient and doesn't turn the ball over like that. I mean, he's high-octane offense. I mean, he threw almost 100 less passes than Hurts. And, you know, I mean, his completion percentage and his quarterback rating were over the top. I think he finished third in the MVP. The coaching's better in San Francisco on the offensive side. So they're probably a little better. Not a ton, though. I'm not saying like, oh, no, it's a 10 and a 6. You're talking like 9-5 versus 10. It's right there. So off subject, should any team not name Kansas City pass on Williams in the draft? If he truly is the next Mahomes, I'm not convinced Caleb Williams is the guy. I never saw him win a big game or never saw him do anything exceptional in college at any stop, Oklahoma or USC. I saw nothing spectacular that made me go, that guy's special when it came to winning big games. I like the guy Michael Penix. I thought he got beat up a little bit in the title game against Michigan. He was sensational in the semifinal game. I think the Bo Nix kid, that's kind of like a funny experiment. You know, he's an older guy, played a ton of years at Auburn before he went to Oregon. The Drake May kid is an interesting quarterback. Yeah, I mean, I look at the quarterback class coming in, and everyone says it's a great class. Is Jaden Daniels? I don't know. Do you really see exceptional in any of those guys? Do you see exceptional arm talent in any one of those guys that are going to be in the draft? I don't know. Okay, I really don't. I don't know. I really like the idea of trading AJ for picks. Smith has shown more. That's been a topic here on our program, and even the radio stations in Philadelphia are picking that up now too. When it came to something we brought up about 3 days ago about trading AJ. And everyone first initially were like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, because Kansas City is the number one test that shows you. And so is Green Bay. You think there's any coincidence that Green Bay and Kansas City got better when they traded Devontae Adams and they traded Tyreek Hill? You think there's any coincidence in that? Take a look at what Green Bay did. They not just traded away Aaron Rodgers. They traded Devontae Adams away and Rodgers. Took those draft choices and are rebuilding that football team. Same thing Kansas City's doing with Tyreek Hill. I disagree with Rob. I think he can get 2 ones for AJ. I'll tell you why. This guy's got 3,000 yards in 2 years. I mean, I don't know. Who's the only guy that has more than that? Maybe Tyreek and Justin Jefferson? And Jefferson was hurt. Played 12 games and had 1,100 yards. That guy's still the best guy in the game up in Minnesota. 12 games, he had 1,100 yards, which is insanity. That's how good that guy is. And by the way, am I paying $30 million for Justin Jefferson? I don't know how I can't. Okay? I don't know how you don't. Okay? Someone goes like this, don't copy other teams. Like what? Getting an idea that you don't have to have a number one quarterback if you have a great if you don't need a $50 million quarterback to get to a Super Bowl if you have an outstanding roster like San Francisco. They've proved that too. And I wouldn't call Brock Purdy one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. He's top 10 quarterback. Like if I put Brock Purdy in Las Vegas, isn't he Jimmy Garoppolo? He's Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Like that's not a guy that's going to carry your football team if you lose Kittle and McCaffrey. I don't see that. And I haven't yet. Until you can show me, like you play with not very many, like Josh Allen plays with nobody but Diggs. He has nobody on that team up there. They're kind of decent in the run. The running back's good. The kid, he's come on the scene. He's a good player. I like that running back they got up there now in Buffalo. He's good. I didn't think they had. He's a Pro Bowler. Okay, so I mean, he's good. But I mean, like I said, you get a couple first-round draft choices. Say you get a 1 and 2 threes, like I heard Rob say. Okay, 1 and 2 threes. Hoss, you got a ton of shit work to do on that side of the football over there. You are not going anywhere. By the way, there's better chance of you having a losing season next year than there is of you going to the Super Bowl. And you know it. There's a chance better chance you'll have a losing season. You think you're turning that around because you hired Vic Fangio and you're going to tote out Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham as your linebackers. And here we are back to last offseason where I told you those guys were horse shit that you had in there with Morrow and them guys. Stupidity. I told you the coordinators would be a factor, that coaching would stop you from getting to the Super Bowl. All that shit we said happened. The really only thing we were wrong about on the Eagles' part was that I thought your D would get better. But you had incompetent people above them. I don't know if Sean Desai's a bad coordinator. I know that Nick is a shitty coach. Okay? So, I'll talk a little more about that in the whole thing with AJ, because I'm talking myself more into it. Okay, I am. I'm talking myself more into it. Oh, by the way, I wanted to read something to you that was sent to me about Vic Fangio. And I want to read this to you. Vic Fangio's one-voice approach to running the defense wore on other coaches on the Miami staff. An example that he didn't allow position coaches to present their work to the defense, instead gathering information from them and doing it himself. The sort of approach is decided old school and seeped through the players who by the end of the season started to tune out Vic Fangio. You know, I say this to that. It's about time somebody had one voice in the room. You're not going to the players and telling them your philosophy on something if it contradicts my philosophy. That's what called being a D coordinator is, or having an offensive coordinator in the building. If you want to bring your views to our coaching staff and into our meetings, that's fine. But we're not sending different messages to our players. I completely concur and agree with that approach. I don't need 100 million roosters in the hen house. I need one. One voice with clarity. One voice, that's the leader. One voice, you know where it's coming from. That's the problem with the Eagle organization. You don't know where shit comes from because everyone, it thinks it's like a big secret who's in charge. You don't have to have anything. I don't want to hear a position coach telling my defensive backs, here's what we're going to. No, I'll tell them. This is what we're doing. This is the approach we have. Okay? Having clarity is a bad thing? You think that's a bad thing, having clarity, one voice? How many people like in your life just think about this here for a second. When you're a kid and your mom and dad have two different views on a particular subject, and you're in the middle of it, dad thinks this, your mom thinks that, you got two voices giving you two different opinions. It makes it clouded of a judgment that you're going to make. Instead, when you got one voice in the room going, you should do it this way, you're going to be more set on a path. Hey, it might not be, but you're going to learn from adversity anyway. You're not going to learn from being a front runner. I completely don't have a problem with that. Jesus criminy. People are soft that write these stupid ass fucking articles about people that are in leadership positions. That's a leadership position. Well, some of the get this. Here's the criticism of Vic Fangio in Miami. Some of the players really didn't like the way he talked to them. Yeah, he didn't allow his assistant coaches to really spread the game plan out because he felt that was his job. I don't know what's wrong with anything. To me, it actually makes me feel more comfortable with Vic Fangio as our defense coordinator now than it ever did before. I'm even more sold. He's a leader. He's got clarity. It's his voice in the room. It's his way or the highway. Isn't that what you wanted last year in your coordinators? It's his way or the highway. And I'm not talking about adjusting and in-game adjustments and shit like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, hey, we're getting killed on the run. Don't you think we should bring that? I'm not talking that. I'm talking about when you're putting something together, you hired me to be your coordinator. I'm not a delegator. That's the head coach's responsibility. Okay? That's what you're looking for. That's right, Jason. Jason, I love that. That's right, Jace. Bring discipline. You bring clarity. Absolutely. Great. We're going to get Ron Jaworski Friday. Looking forward to that. I mean, dude, the approaches that people have. I don't want a guy with 50 different guys. I don't need my coordinator going up and asking Sean Desai, or here's a better one. Hey, it's Nick's offense, but go ahead, Brian. You're the play caller. That's ass backwards. You're either the OC play caller or you're not. I'm not doing it by committee. Jalen Hurts was coached by committee last year. You're not going to win by committee. The year before that, they were coached by Steichen. Last year, they were coached by a committee. And they told you it. They told you. My offense, he calls the plays. You're coach Jalen Hurts, and you ran your offense by committee. I mean, how can you win like that? You have two different opinions on one play. Two different opinions on one play. Eagle fans, hear you piss off, but you speak the truth. Tired of these yes men on the team and in the media. Dude, one voice, clarity. PJ, one voice is all I'm looking for. Okay? Is all I'm looking for. I love that Vic Fangio is a hard ass. That team needs their ass beat. Hey, by the way, after that 1-6 finish, don't you want some asses? Don't you want some heads rolling? Don't you want some accountability for the way they ended their season? Should make you feel better that they're bringing in a guy with a whip. Oh, is that too harsh for you? Oh, I don't mind that. You know what makes you sit back in the offseason going, all right. By the way, one more time about these hires. I don't know. We'll know in September. We'll know in September. Sills, do you think they're good hires? I don't know. No one does. We'll see. The Kellen Moore thing kind of makes me, kind of pause a bit because I don't see the compatibility with him and Hurts whatsoever. He's never coached an RPO guy. I said it yesterday. He has no experience in it. So I don't know. And what I don't like is, and I don't want to hear Sirianni lying, saying that his skill set is compatible with Jalen's. That's a lie. Okay? He's never coached anyone or developed a quarterback at all. Especially when you watch what Dak did this year. So, I don't know. So do you hate? No, I don't know. What do you want me to say? Make something up? Yeah, I love the hires. These are really great. How do you know that? How do you know that? That's like saying, hey, Raheem Morris is going to be a great head coach in Atlanta. How do you know that? You're assuming it. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt. Well, I don't in this game. You got to wait until you see when you're in the game what these coaches and what these coordinators do. You can have the opinion all you want. Some coordinators go places. Look at what's going on in Los Angeles right now. You know who they brought? Hey, by the way, who do you think the Rams brought in to replace Raheem Morris as defensive coordinator and are in the contract talks with him on being the new coordinator of the Rams? Sean McVay. What guy out there would you think would be somebody that would fit Sean McVay's MO and how he thinks of his football team? You got it, Kyle. Ron Rivera. Yeah, Ron Rivera is an excellent defensive coordinator. That's a perfect fit. He will do marvelous things with that defense. He's a great coordinator. Okay? Great coordinator. All right. Where are we here? Okay, good. Plenty of time. I think this is an important question to ask about Howie Roseman because Howie's front and center now. The coaches, the assistant coaches are going to be more important than the head coach in this. So we'll put little Nicky Sirianni in a box over here because the assistant coaches on the defensive side are going to be instrumental in building your team up to respectability. Right now, you're not a respectable defense. You have not one redeeming quality on your defense right now, except for about 3 players. That's it. That is not a very good team. I don't care what you fucking think. What you hope. If, and, but, what? Hope. Hey, coaching. You suck. Let's get to the brass taxes here. Stop overvaluing shit. Okay? Stop overvaluing shit. Well, does Zach Cunningham had a good year? Yeah. So with that piece of shit doesn't smell versus that piece of shit over here that does smell. Stop dressing up a shit turd. End of story. So, what does your general manager do best? Is it free agency? Or is it the draft? And what positions? And I'm going to tell you the positions that he should go either draft. See, again, this conversation for some of you in here won't be and you won't be able to follow along because you're not real intelligent. Like our friend LJ here, he's not really that smart. Okay. He goes off on these, he doesn't really listen. So this is not really for him. So maybe he should come back Friday when Ron Jaworski's on or something, and we can have fun with him then. But for some of you in here, this is a conversation that has to do with building a team up to where, again, you don't have to have the Ravens defense back in the early 2000s. You don't have to have that. You just got to be respectable, and you're not right now. You're not a very respectable defense. So let's do this. What does Howie do best? Free agency or draft? Okay. Okay. What does you think he does? Okay. CB, safety. Sam, Will, Mike, and DT. End. Okay. Free agency. Free agency for sure. Remember what I told you just now. Where it is $28 million in cap space. Plus, you're going to have to restructure contracts, especially at the corner position. And, maybe you can restructure some other ones. But at the end of the day, you're going to need $18 million. You're going to need $18 million for the draft. So you have $10 million to maneuver with. Now, you can make contracts work. In today's collective bargaining agreement, there's all kinds of tools in the tool bag that give these general managers opportunities to do that. By the way, that's a great one. Leon, we're going to have Bill Moss on at 4:30, Tone at 3:30, as always. Bill's part of the broadcast team for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City's a better team without A.J. Brown. Tyreek Hill. They're in their second Super Bowl, going for back-to-back, without the best deep threat in NFL history. But I don't want to trade A.J. That's because you don't believe in Hurts. I get it. You either believe in him or you don't. Kansas City actually thought that they didn't need Hill. So you must think you really need AJ to win. Kansas City went like this. We don't need Tyreek. Got rid of him. And now they're in their second Super Bowl in a row, going for 2 in a row. See, what you don't want to do with AJ is you're not all sold on Hurts. Because if you were, you'd be like, let's get this guy's ass out of here. Let's get some draft picks. Let's think about that. Look at the big-time wide receivers in the Super Bowl. Let me think. So Deebo Samuel, who's not really a traditional wideout, and Ayuk is more of a lesser version of Devontae. So you really don't have one big-time wide receiver in the Super Bowl. I believe in Hurts. I don't trust Howie in the draft. That's a good one too, Q. Think about that. There's not really a big-time wideout in the game. Debo's more like a Swiss Army knife. Jet sweeps, running in between the tackles, put him in the slot, line him up out wide, run him on those big sweeps, right? He's more like cut like that. Did he have 1,000 yards this year? Okay, did he have 1,000? Time that guy's on the field, though, man, he's a weapon. Okay? So, let's do this. First, we have to identify Debo had 892. Missed about 3 games this year, right? 4 games. It's a pretty good number still. Pretty good number. Very good number, actually. So, like, Ayuk has 1,000 and Debo doesn't. Okay. Ayuk was great. Missed 2 games. Okay, well, then he's not really going to put up 1,300, 14, 1,500 yards like your boy AJ is. Because he gets all the targets, though. Hey, do you think, before I move on to this, you think Patrick Mahomes, can I make a comparison on where Patrick Mahomes is in his career? And I'm going to compare him to Jordan. Follow me here. He's putting up all those big numbers, all those big touchdown numbers. Coach went to him, Andy Reid, and said this to him. Hey, you want to win consistent championships? It's not going to be about putting up 400 yards passing anymore. 225 yards, 30 of 39, something like that. Pacheco running the ball, playing some good defense. We got a defense now. You don't have to throw for 500 yards. It's not about winning passing titles. It's about winning NFL championships. Kind of the same conversation Phil Jackson had with Jordan. Hey, you want to win scoring titles or you want to win NBA titles? You know, Jordan never won another scoring title after he won his first title. It wasn't about scoring titles. It was more about winning championships. So that's where I think Patrick Mahomes is. Okay. All right. So let's do this. This defense needs, hey, do we think that this defense needs a complete overhaul? I do. I think this defense needs a complete overhaul. Okay? Complete overhaul. At the end position, would you use your draft picks or would you use free agency? Who are my ends going to be? Who are my ends going to be in 2024? Brandon Graham's out. He's not good enough. So would I get an edge rusher? Would I draft an edge rusher? No, I want a veteran. I want Graham's out over here. Sweat's over here. I'm good with Sweat. I need a veteran and a rookie edge rusher. My first option is vet. And then for depth, I want a rookie. My 2 tackle positions, I got Milton Williams as my backup and Fletcher. I want to use a draft pick here, a later pick, 4th round. This is what teams are doing right now. Okay? Hassan Reddick. I got nothing from Nolan Smith. I drafted him in the 1st round. I have to bring Nolan Smith back to compete for that job. I have to. He's the 30th pick in the draft. This is not college ball. You could just sit a scholarship kid and get another scholarship kid. This guy's a 1st round pick. You got to do this. You've put yourself in a position where you've got Reddick here and you've got Nolan Smith here. You have to do that. You really, unless you move Reddick, okay? I'll tell you something. You see what Dave said? Smith is not an edge. If Smith can't play the position that Hassan Reddick plays, he has no position. He's not big enough to play end. He's not. He's got to play the position that Reddick plays. Outside linebacker. Because if he can't play. You've got to replace Zach Cunningham. And I'm doing that with a veteran. And then I'm drafting a guy, my second option. I'm bringing someone in to compete with Nakobe Dean. Okay, but I want a veteran guy here. Because you know why? Howie sucks at drafting linebackers. I don't trust him. So I'm going to go veteran again. And then draft another guy. I've got to draft 2 linebackers in this draft. But I've got to bring in 2 veteran linebackers. You know why? I don't trust the guy. I'm hedging my bets. He hasn't drafted a linebacker in 20 years. Why in the world would we go, oh, no, he'll all of a sudden have an epiphany, and here he is this year. He's Mr. Linebacker U. Come on, man. So that's where I'm going there. My safeties. I don't like one safety on that team, including Reed Blankenship. I think he's okay. I think you know what? If it were my defense, he'd be the third safety, not the fucking first safety. Here's your problem. If that's your best safety, you're in trouble. Look, and I don't think he's horrible, but I don't think he's a starter. I think he's okay. Gets beat a ton of times. He gets turned around a shitload of times. He gets nicked up back there and tight ends own him. I don't know. I just don't think he has the wheels to hang out back there. He's not horrible. He's not off my team, but I mean, you got to get another. Watch this. They suck at drafting veterans, or they suck at drafting guys at the safety position. So I got to get a vet. Then I'm going to take one of the safeties, draft picks, and I'm going to draft one. Now for the corners. Got a shitload of money tied up in these guys. And they're going to be essential to Vic Fangio's defense. If they can't cover, your defense is going to be in a world of trouble again. The essential part of these bend but don't break defenses are your corners and your linebackers. Why? Covering tight ends and covering the deep threat. They want the underthrow. They want the throwdown. They want the check down. That's who that defense is. That's what they are doing. Now, do you want to take some of your... Now, again, I don't think you can I see somebody say this. Why don't we trade for Surtain? You need too much help here. And here's what you're going to do. If you don't fix that defense and spend all of your resources this offseason on retooling that defense, you're going to waste that offensive side of the ball, and it won't matter how many people throw for how many yards or how many catches they catch. You'll still win 7 games. Right now, your football team's a 7-win team. You know why? Your defense is horrible. There's not one redeeming quality on it. You don't have Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams are people I can count on. The rest of them, Reddick. Okay? The Georgia kids got to get, all of the Georgia kids have to get their asses in shape and their minds right. You're getting nothing out of them. Carter the most. The rest of them, okay? Shit, you can make the argument Fletcher Cox was your best defensive football player. At 36. Okay. What are you going to do at corner? Are you going to play hardball with these guys? Hey, look, James, we want you here. You're going to have to lie to the kid. You really don't. If you could get out from under it, you would. Or do you eat the cap money? Can't eat the cap money because you don't have a lot of it. Remember, $18 million goes to the draft. You have 28. You have 10 to deal with. What cap room are you eating? Okay, so you've got to do some restructuring and keep the players. Give them money up front, lower the salary. You're going to have to keep them guys. If you start playing dead cap with the cap space that you have, you won't be able to do anything except draft kids. And you'll be a 5-win team because that's not going to rebuild that defense. You need veteran guys over there. You know what you need? You need stopgap guys until you can develop some guys over there. Look at Slager go, stop, we'll create at least $20 million in cap room. Really? You're still not going to have enough. Do you understand you got to replace 9 players of the 11 if you want to be decent? You're not decent. You know, I hear these people talking about pie in the sky bullshit, rainbows and butterflies and all that. Hey, you know, we'll bring this in. This guy will play here. This guy will do it. And you're like, stop talking like that. The only certainty is I saw you fall apart and you were 1-6. Championship teams don't look like that at the end of the season where you completely fall to shit. Nobody falls down like that and gets back up and wins a Super Bowl. Unless you do a lot of hard work here. Shit Hurts is being asked to do something different too this coming year. Going to be under center? Better work on them feet, son, because you ain't got the best feet. You don't get back to that 7-step decent enough. You better work on that, which I think he will. You want to know why you had picks, throwing off your back foot, horrible feet, all that. Go back and watch some of the 22. He's got terrible feet in the pocket this past season. Now you're going to go under center, not out of the shotgun? Good luck to you. Good luck to you, kid. Okay. So I wrote down a bunch of kids that I'm looking at free agency-wise and in the draft. And I'm going to name these kids here now. We'll do that at the top of the hour here. You have to look at again, what are we doing at corner? You got to talk to James Bradbury like this. Okay, son, we're going to restructure your contract. We need to get that cap hit down and that dead cap money down. We're not going to cut you if we do it. We're going to bring you back because the player's going to do you a solid. You can't fuck the kid. Okay. And maybe Fangio puts him in a better position to succeed. Okay. You've got to at least experiment with it. With Slay, you've got to do the same thing. By the way, congratulations to Darius Slay. He's been named to the Pro Bowl for a 6th time. And Hurts went too, by the way. That's really great on a resume. It really is. On your legacy resume, having it, Jalen Hurts being on that Pro Bowl for a 3rd year in a row, I don't care if it's honorable mention or alternate. You're on a Pro Bowl list, and you're doing it now for a couple of years in a row. Kudos to Jalen. Okay, there's a lot of guys that don't have that many already. That's pretty good. It is. It's a testament to his hard work. And Slay's got his 6th. Slay's starting to get up in the conversation where, I tell you what, 6 Pro Bowls? That's pretty good for a corner in this league today, that you had that many. And some go, yeah, well, Silsey was an alternate because guys are playing in it. I don't give a shit what you think that means. You're on a Pro Bowl. No one's going to remember in 7 years that you took the place of somebody with the Niners. Nobody gives a shit. Okay? Yeah, you know what? Someone goes like this, Jalen shouldn't be going. Do you know why Jalen is going to the Pro Bowl? Because the league respects him. Okay? That's a respect addition to the Pro Bowl. Respect for his game and him. I noticed this. Okay? I noticed this. Make no mistake about it. That's what that was. It's pretty good. So again, if you're Howie, you have to have a true conversation with the corners. And I would do this. I would get a veteran corner and I would draft a corner. Okay? To make it to the Pro Bowl after 19 turnovers speaks to how the league views him. Correct. He produced a ton, but just has to clean up the turnovers. It's a total respect addition to the team. It's total respect. Media may not respect him. Players in the league do. People that are legitimate people who cover the league respect him. The league respects Hurts now? Okay. Why wouldn't you? Hey, what has he done? Maybe fell apart a little bit at the end. I don't know. I think sometimes my criticism of Jalen Hurts, it's not personal. It's not personal. I'm talking about his persona here. That has nothing to do with his game or what kind of style he plays. You can't combine them all. You just can't. Hurts is where he is because of his shit inside of him, not because of his blazing ability. Okay? And by the way, people will go like this. Dan, well, you're saying he's not a talented guy? No, I'm saying he's like Tom Brady in a way where Brady's not the most athletic guy on the planet. Not real fast. Ran a 4.7 40. Had the body of Ichabod Crane when he was at the combines. Fat, pudgy, no chest. And that guy won 7 Super Bowls. Have you ever seen that pre-draft picture of him? That guy's the greatest player in the history of the league. Take a look at that picture and go, that does not look like an NFL guy. That guy looks like a bar bum. Okay? That's somebody you see at a bar who's drunk with his shirt off and looks like a bum. Okay? I mean, that's the greatest player of all time? I'll tell you what. How about this one here, Tone? Ichabod Crane. Hey, how about this one here? Put Cam Newton in a room with no clothes on and then put Brady in the room with no clothes on. Tell me who you think the better athlete is. You're going to go like this. Okay, Cam, that right there is what an athlete looks like. Because if you've ever stood next to Cam Newton, and I have, that dude is like Reggie White. He's like 6'6", 6'5", and he's carved out of a steak. Okay? I mean, the dude's carved out of a steak. And there's Ichabod Crane sitting over there. Oh, fat, pudgy Brady with 7 Super Bowls. And then you look over at Cam and go, I don't know why am I not getting this? Hey, why am I not getting this? Okay, why am I not getting this? See, in the NFL, you don't have to look like that. Dude, that's right. Tones like this. Cam was carved out of a water buffalo. Dude, he was. Hey, when I saw Cam Newton walking towards me in New Orleans for the Super Bowl years ago, I was like, what defensive player is that? And I'm trying to think who was sitting. I think it was who was that? We had one of the guys from NBC came over and he was sitting there. He goes, that's Cam Newton. And I'm like, that's Cam Newton? Holy cow. The more he walked up on you, you were like, this guy, I can't believe people got him down on the ground. What a freak of nature that guy was. Okay. I'm going to build your football defense back up for you here. We're going to do that. I've got names to do it with. And we're going to build your defensive football team back up. We're going to create a draft board for Howie. We're going to help them out. You know, they watch the show. We're going to help them. And it's called the production draft chart. There's only one of a kind. And I was taught this by Jimmy. Coach Johnson is the creator that this draft chart that's still used today in pretty much every single NFL front office. Value versus price. That's got to be how you build this. Cap space, talent, draft equity. Okay? All right. All right, folks, don't forget the 2024 calendars are out. $100 and coupons are inside. If you don't want to go into any of the locations there with Hooters, man, great, folks. HootersToGo.com, their app. NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com. Don't forget, Tuesdays, you buy 10 wings, get 10 free. Kids eat for free on Saturday. 1983 Wing Wednesdays. That's NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com. When you roll in, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.